Hey everyone, I hope you're all having a great day. I've been trying to figure out what to talk about for this video because I just have so much going on. So I figured instead of splitting it up, I'm just going to throw it all into one. It's kind of going to be everything that's going on with me at school right now, in terms of the research project I've been talking about, in terms of all the things I'm reading for classes, in terms of what I'm writing for classes, the kind of reading slumps I'm having with some of the stuff I'm not enjoying. Yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff. I think that I'll start with my workshop class because that seems to be the most fun so far, and I have the most to say about what I've been reading so far. So I'll get out kind of everything I'm reading for that. The first of which I'm sure I will talk about much more in depth once I'm really digging into it. But this is by Alice LaPlante, and it's called The Making of a Story, a Norton Guide to Creative Writing. My current workshop teacher, who is an incredibly talented author, was one of the 5 under 35 National Book Award recipients in 2021. I think that year is right. Basically said this book taught her how to, put together a polished story, and has recommended several sections. I think I'm going to try and go through the whole thing because I'm really trying to finalize a couple of things I've been working on. But yes, it's a big fat book. It's something I've read one section so far, not for class, just pertaining to finishing up a story I've been working on for 7-8 months at this point, but I'll get into that more later. We're also reading A Visit from the Goon Squad, which Jennifer Egan won the Pulitzer for, named, one of the best books of the 21st century. I've really been wanting to read her stuff for a long time, but just haven't gotten around to it, so I'm excited. And the reason we're reading this is because it's kind of, from what I understand, I haven't started it yet, I'm going to start it this week for next class. It's kind of a novel in stories, moving back and forth with the same character. And the assignment for this class, like the work that we're actually producing, is supposed to be a novella in stories. So 3 separate short stories that all tie together. Probably 60, 65 pages of writing, which is easily the most I've had to do for a class. So that'll be a lot, but I'm pretty excited for it. I think it's just cool to have a class that's going to result in that much output. And hopefully, at least one of those that I'm really excited about and able to work with moving forward. So I'm excited for that. And then someone else we're reading is Danielle Evans, The Office of Historical Corrections. We were only assigned 2 stories from here, but I like them so much I went out and bought the book, and I've read 4 stories total. They are not connected. It's not a novel in stories. They're connected through themes and through stylistic choices and through, what she's trying to do is very similar throughout the book so far, but they're not the same characters. It's not like a Visit from the Goon Squad. But I've got to say, this has made my last 2 weeks because I have been struggling with some of the stuff I've been reading, not because I don't understand it or I don't. It's been some of the stuff I'm not enjoying, I guess, if that makes sense. And I'm spoiled. I'm spoiled like crazy because in the last month or so, I've read like half of the 5 stars I've ever rated on Goodreads have come from this past winter break. And so now that I'm returning back to school, and usually the stuff I read for school is great, like those workshop, I'm super pumped for all the stuff we're going to read, but there's some requirements in the major that I've been putting off because I knew I wouldn't love them. So now here I am, haven't taken them and yeah, whatever. So it's fine, but this is really, really good. I want to talk about 2 of the stories. Richard of York Gave Battle in Vain and Boys Go to Jupiter, which are both super interesting. Not only is her writing incredible, but she layers the stories in such an intricate way so that with both of those, there's a story, which in Richard of York Gave Battle in Vain is this kind of relationship between this girl who's not a bridesmaid, but she's at this wedding, and she stayed in the same room as the man who's getting married for a couple of nights. And so it's almost like the bride is having her at the wedding to try and make sure that nothing happened because the bride and the man were still dating at the same time. So there's kind of that story going on. And that's not at all the actual story. And in Boys Go to Jupiter, the story that's going on is this girl is at college. She's white, and she's been posting pictures actually, she's not been posting pictures. This kind of boy she hooked up with a few times has been posting pictures of her in this Confederate flag bikini that he put her in. And that's obviously a whole story in itself. But again, it's not the actual story. So you've got these 2 stories that she's put so much thought into, incredibly intriguing. You're all the way into them, and then there's a whole other thing beneath the surface. So I kind of want to read the opening for Richard of York gave battle in vain. Just this first paragraph, because I think it's so beautiful and it shows the way she transitions into a story and out of a story and into another story inside the story. Like, I don't really know how to describe all this, if I'm making any sense, but yeah, she starts with the Noah's Ark. And for context, Dory's getting married and Rena is the girl who's at her wedding, who's may or may not have slept with JT, Dory's future husband. 2 by 2 the animals boarded, and then all the rest of them in the world died, but no one ever tells the story that way. 40 days and 40 nights of being locked up, helpless, knowing everything you'd ever known was drowning all around you, and at the end God shows up with a whimsical promise that he will not destroy the world again with water, which seems like a hell of a caveat. Dory must find something reassuring in the story. Dory is a preschool teacher and a pastor's daughter, and she has found a way to carry the theme of the Ark and the Rainbow sign across the entire 3 days of her wedding, which began tonight with a welcome dinner and ends Sunday afternoon with brunch and a church service where, according to the program, her father will give a sermon titled God's Rainbow Sign for You. The bridesmaids' dresses are rainbow, not individually multicolored, but Roy G. Biv ordered, and each bridesmaid appears to have been mandated to wear her assigned color all weekend. The red bridesmaid, for example, wore a red t-shirt to the airport, a red cocktail dress to dinner, and now red stilettos and a red sash reading Bridesmaid for the bachelorette party. When assembled in a group, Dory's bridesmaids look like a team of bridal Power Rangers. Rena is not a bridesmaid, but has been dragged along for the festivities thanks to the aggressive hospitality of the bridal party. She has worn black to avoid stepping on anyone's color-assigned toes, and Dory, of course, has worn white. All night, Rena has been waiting to judge Dory for the look on her face when someone spots the two of them and the rainbow bridal party and takes them for brides-to-be, but so far they have only been to bars where the bartenders greet everyone but Rena and the green bridesmaid, the other out-of-towner, by name. There is a groom involved in this wedding, though Rena believes his involvement must be loose. She can't imagine JT is on board with the Ark business. Rena has known JT for 5 years. When they met, blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of... again, the way that story gets introduced is quite a bit different from the other one, actually. But again, they dive into these kind of really interesting dynamics, and there's a whole nother thing at the surface, which I really don't want to spoil, but also I really do want to spoil. And I'll just say, none of the characters involved in this Richard of York gave battle in vain, the Roy G. Biv, are actually the characters at the heart of the story. And in the other one, the girl who's wearing the Confederate flag bikini she's not from the South. Her best friends growing up were her neighbors, 2 black children, and you don't even really hear about that until you're like 10 pages in. So that's not going to ruin any of the stories. It does kind of, yeah, I think I would highly recommend this. Once I get to the novella, because it's 7 stories and then a pretty long novella, which a novella is. I'll talk about it more, but I am in love with this book. I really, really like her stuff. I have got to read Before You Suffocate Your Own Fool Self, which I believe is more short stories. That was her first book, and I'm excited to see what she continues to do in the future. But I'm gonna have to read. I'm gonna have to read all her stuff for sure. And then besides that, in terms of personal reading, actually, I'll just do this real quick. I am reading Martyr. Where's the Martyr? There's the dust jacket, which I'm loving. I'm doing an entire vlog on that, a vlog that will be mostly just me, but then at the end I'm going to have my dad's thoughts on it because he's read it and loved it as well. And then I'm reading kind of some journalism by Hanif Abdurraqib. I kind of want to read all his nonfiction stuff. So this is kind of starting off with, it's more music-based reporting and not as concise as a lot of his other stuff. But yeah, so that book, which I'm really liking as well. And then I'm kind of reading at night, which is kind of driving me mad, is The Broom in the System by David Foster Wallace, which is really good. But I always, go to bed with some crazy passage on my mind because he just seems to be trying to do the craziest things possible in that book, which I like, don't get me wrong. But yeah, and then for class, besides that stuff, I'm reading Sitting Pretty, The View from My Ordinary Resilient Disabled Body by Rebecca Taussig. This was like the Go Big Read book. Everybody on campus gets one of these. And I'm in a class that's really focusing on like commonplaces in terms of what else we're reading for that class. There is Citizen, an American Lyric by Claudia Rankine. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. I'm very sorry. Our Declaration by Danielle Allen. a reading of the Declaration of Independence in Defense of Equality, and then The Magic Fish by Trung Le Nguyen. This is like a graphic novel, but yeah, if you've read any of these, I've heard really good things about this. I'm really excited for, Gordon Wood reviewed this, but yeah, I'm really excited for this class, and some of the writing I'll get to do, but this book, I was like 10 pages in and I was like, I really don't like it. Like, not that it's not really interesting, it is really interesting, but again, I've been reading a lot of stuff for class that I'm just not like loving the writing, and this kind of felt like that, but then I kind of, I tried to keep an open mind, and I was like, well, a lot of the stuff we've been reading is way too academic, and it's almost like it has these really interesting ideas, but I feel like, it's like a PhD student writing for other PhD students. And that's pretty problematic in my eyes, because, you're essentially, not only are you really not improving anything, because what is communication between other PhD students that what are you doing research for? I don't understand that. You're also trying to make things as complex as possible. It's almost like you're judging how smart you are based on the writing, not the ideas you have. And I don't love that either. And this is certainly, she's a PhD student. She's dumbed this down quite a bit to the point where I feel like, this is like the target audience is almost these high schoolers, which she kind of talks about teaching these high schoolers who really said some awful things to her. She was teaching a disability class in high school, kind of on like the way we talk about disabled bodies and things like that. This is an interesting book, and it contains some really interesting anecdotes, and she tries very hard to keep it like only like her experience. She's not like making a whole argument outside of herself. I feel like I'd be more interested in kind of a more expanded view of all this, but it's certainly a cool introduction, because there's a lot of things I don't know, and so I would recommend at least looking this up and seeing if it's something you might be interested in, because it is pretty cool. And then one of my other classes. For this class, which I mentioned putting off until this year, we're reading all really old English literature, and I'm sure it's cool, but it's really just not what I'm interested in right now. And I don't know, I'm doing my best. Some of like the early devotional poetry I have been interested in. We got to some Shakespeare recently. We're reading out of these Northern anthologies of English literature. Seems kind of interesting. I will update you on further developments, but I don't think I'll be talking about anything from this class. One, I don't think I'm smart enough to understand this, and two, I'm just not super interested in it. Maybe when we get to Paradise Lost and things like that, but I don't even think we read the whole thing, just 2 books, so I'm just not sure what's going on with that. So that's another class. And then one more class I'm in it's called Queer World Building, and it's all kind of literature that revolves around. So this is The Price of Salt, or Carol, by Patricia Highsmith, which I am 100 pages into right now. This is the first book we're reading. We're watching a lot of movies, reading a lot of books, and it's pretty interesting. It's not a writing intensive course. It's more reading and watching stuff and class discussions, which I really like. And this is cool. I didn't love the first 100 pages, but it did sort of create a bursting at the seams feeling, like waiting for something to happen. And so I feel like once it happens, it'll get a little bit better. This is not going to be a book I'm going to recommend, even if it does get a lot better, because I really did feel like it dragged a bit. But it seems like an interesting story. I loved how it was framed at like the time it came out in the 40s, early 50s, I think. It's this whole like controversial novel, because it really is very tame, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent about it, let's say that. And then This Is How You Lose the Time War. I've been wanting to read this for a long time, have no ideas about it. I'm just going to go into it blind. Of course, let me know if you've read this or any other books, and I'd be happy to hear what you guys have to say, and that'd be awesome. But other than that, I'm just kind of going to go into this. I'm really interested to see how 2 authors make a book happen. I don't know how that's going to work, but I've heard very good things, so we'll see. And then Rashid Newson, My Government Means to Kill Me, which I have also heard good things about, though I don't even... This is a fictional book about a boy in New York? Yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I have not, again, like I've heard a lot about these two books. I've heard that they're very good, but I don't really know what they're about. So kind of going to go into this like that too. I'm very excited for this. I will say I'm more excited for these two than Carol. I do think they'll be better. But yeah, again, I think that'll be really cool. And I mean, that's basically it. I'm only taking 4 classes this semester. One because I did study abroad and was kind of able to get ahead on credits, but 2 because I have this kind of research project going on right now, which I'm definitely going to do a large video detailing all like the literature I'm going to be using in that, whether it's, you know, Richard Wright, I have, you know, Saul Bellow here, Nelson Algren, as I've mentioned many times, Edward P. Jones, Gwendolyn Brooks, all kinds of stuff like that, which I will be reading in chunks and as I can. And again, I really am going to try to, I know that there's not, oh, Giovanni's Room. I'm going to read Giovanni's Room as an elective for the Queer World Building class because you can kind of pick an extra piece of literature or something and write about it and get some extra credit. And I've been wanting to read that anyway. So I have Giovanni's Room. I'll get to that as well. And some of the Baldwin essays are included in the research. So I think there'll be a lot of cool stuff. Some stuff for class I'm going to have to, you know, take time on things I don't particularly love. Last semester was a little different. Not every semester you're going to have like, you know, kind of dream books that you're reading, but I'm still excited. Other than that, I don't have much else to say. Everybody's been commenting stuff about how they really do like the long videos, so I'm really appreciative of you guys watching those longer ones. And I know I almost just said it as a reflex. I always say like I don't want to make it too long, but I truly did not want to make this incredibly long. 1, because like my camera's dying, and 2, because I've got a lot of work tonight. But I did want to get something out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I recently sat down and talked with Ricky Fain about his novel, The Devil Three Times. That is out. Please check that out if you get the chance. I really had a great time doing that, and I really feel as though this book is something special. And he's just an awesome person who's meant a lot to me, and a lot to this channel in ways that maybe aren't obviously apparent, but he really has influenced me quite a bit. Again, thanks everybody for watching. I hope you're having a great day, great night, great week, great weekend, whenever you're watching this. Happy reading, and I will see you guys very soon. Thanks, guys.